знаете, направихме една тройка колигала за червена преди 5-6 години, след това имаше малки моделчета, 12 хубави, които бяха дълго време в четвърти по-фолието. Сега правим една голяма кола, модел 1:1, която ще бъде готова може би септември месец и ще отиде няколко изложения. Планирахме за салон в Женева, не можа да стане. Все пак е трудно и се работи само от студенти. Но преди да дам думата на професор, между другото знаете, че Гордън Вагенер е доктор по нова кауза на нашия университет, който е изключително чест за нас, че такива хора уважиха нашия университет, изнасят лекции пред вас и работим съвместно. За 10 години, които са минаха тук и за които така се спомняме с добри чувства, ще дам думата на професор Хари Лешки да каже две думи също преди да дам думата на професор Вагенер.
Добър вечер, приятели, студенти, мисля, ми познавате малко. Okay, but I speak in English because I know all of you speak perfect English now, and so that makes things easier. If we go back 10 years, we had an exhibition about design in Budapest, and the intention was to go also to other not villages, cities in the Balkan area, but someone told me that Bulgaria is a nice country, so I landed in Sofia first time, and really it was a nice place, and I met Willy Kraus from Balkan Star and made him appetite for the same exhibition that we had about design in Budapest, and he agreed. He said, okay, we make it here. And this was 10 years ago when I met Professor Sasha Draganov on this event in Balkan Star. There was also a minister, former minister I think, for education, Damjanov, and the director at that time, Veselinov. So, and we had the idea that it could be interesting to make some speeches here, and in a small group we started to talk about design, car design, transportation design, and then that was the time, maybe you know, when Dacia Logan came on the market as a very cheap car built in Romania, and I said, why we cannot make a car made in Bulgaria for 8,000, 9,000 euro? And this was actually the start of a very interesting project that you might see. We're standing there, one or two cars in the university here, the Universe project, car made in Bulgaria. And we started in 2005 with the first sketches, and we transformed these sketches that were chosen by readers of the Autobild at that time, and we transformed this into a one-to-one scale model. Actually in two one-to-one scale models with windows, but no interior. But in 1 year we built these cars, and, which was important, on base of the Smart 4 that was given to us from Brabus, we built a drivable car, and we made the presentation exactly after 1 year in Sweden on the airport, and everybody was excited about the competence of Bulgarian students, and this led also to the continuing work together, University, Balkan Star, and Mercedes, and also the last project, Electric Taxi, which you might have seen the one-to-one scale model, and we are continuing with the big support from Mercedes, from Professor Wagner and his colleague, where is he? Was Begin Frenzel. Aha. He's up there, and he's supporting us very much with his knowledge and with people and with money sometimes, and also with material, which is also of course very important. And I think the results, even from Bulgarian designer who came here, who works at Mercedes, she was very excited about the quality of the students that were working here. So now I will give over to to hear the big speech and learn maybe a little bit about design in special. Thank you.
The floor is yours.
Yeah. Thank you, Ari. Thank you, and hello, everybody. Good to see you. So, yeah, can we switch a light up, actually? Can somebody switch a light up?
Не автоматични са, с сензори.
Как ще стане?
Не се случва. Когато има движение,
Този с лампа.
когато има движение, се случва.
Не, може да стане.
Better than nothing, right? Okay, sure. I will talk a little bit about design today. But to start, let me first show you a little movie about our philosophy and some of the people working in Mercedes design and our thinking beyond it. Let's see if the movie works. We have audio.
First, we want to give the customer a very special feeling. It's mainly a passion to create something that is fascinating. In the end, we want to simply create something where people say, wow, let me touch it. With car designer, everything has to come together. Our design philosophy is central purity, which is the equivalent and definition in design of the modern luxury from Mercedes-Benz. Modern luxury can mean space, it can mean atmosphere. It means all these things that you sometimes can't really grab, but people feel it. Central purity basically means combining something which is very emotional, very freeform, very opulent, with something that is very reduced, very clean, very pure. So we are really playing with opposites here.
Starting not to be designing, starting our daily life. The point of contrast is that what life makes interesting. Zero in contrast means we have the purity, the clearness, the silence, the intelligence. On the other side you have the maximum emotion, and if you do well balance both together, then you make a timeless masterpiece.
I think the car must have a character. Be desirable, appealing, it must touch you emotionally. We achieve this in the first place and the proportions are right. I think you have to be able to recognize Mercedes from far.
Proportion is everything in design. Every piece of design consists of theoretical geometrical volumes. And what we do is putting fullness in there, so we combine a certain definition in the surfaces, which makes it so clean and high-tech looking, with a very nice, sophisticated freeform, which brings a sex appeal into the design.
Freeform means that the surface treatment of Mercedes cars is very unique, it's very round, very full. The surfaces are very central. It really becomes alive in a combination with some very precise geometric graphics like lines, for example.
When we create cars, first of all, we create beauty. That means for us that we always try to do everything even better than we did it before. Refinement means looking into the detail, having pleasure in designing everything, and
Creating a symphony, like just the best orchestra can do. We have to combine and play with the craftsmanship qualities that come from the past, with the high technology experience that comes from the future. Our designers are trained to think in materials, so refinement comes from awareness about material, first of all. We believe that the human body is the perfect teacher for our formal language. You will find perfect elements, you will find wonderful organic shapes, and you will find the best kind of tension in the surface.
natural attraction means forms you love, forms you want to touch, forms that touch you.
A Mercedes is always a very iconic car and an iconic piece of design.
Organization is something that you can not plan. You can aim for it, but if it really happens that your product, your design is iconic, it's a question of time and the people side.
And with Mercedes, it's always something special to do that. Let me show you the picture. Do you know what that is? Coca-Cola, yeah. What's that? iPhone. And the gallery. And only Mercedes can be a gallery. So these are all iconic products. You can immediately recognize them. And the question is, what makes these products iconic? DSL 300 was a supercar at the time. It was really almost an alien car with its gallery, and it was a super race car. Just to give you an idea, at that time it cost $6,000. The most expensive Cadillac at that time cost $4,000. A single family home probably cost about $2,000, just to get you an idea how much that was at the time. And of course, it's a very iconic shape. It's very unique. It has a unique surface treatment. It has full volumes that we naturally find attractive, and it's very important to think about what makes that so special in order to reproduce it for the future, in order to design future icons. And basically, everything we do consists of two things. Actually, it's the same like everywhere in life. There's an emotional side and there's an intellectual side of all things. And the combination of both is really what makes it special. We had these two levels in our company ever since our merger, which was already in 1926, where with Mercedes, Daimler, we had a very glamorous brand, producing race cars, racing in Monte Carlo, and being named after a girl's name. Mercedes is daughter of Mr. Jelinek, and so Mercedes was always a very glamorous brand. But Benz, the inventor of the automobile, was a very rational guy. You see he was doing a lot of functional vehicles, carriage-like, and so with that, all these two poles came together. What at first glance is opposites, and the equivalent in emotion is actually luxury, because luxury is something that touches you, something emotional, something rich, opulent, something above the average. And of course, this is something also that changes over time. Whereas the intelligence, the intellectual part is always a brain thing. You know, you think about something and it gives you a meaning, gives you an intellectual meaning, and it does not touch your heart, it touches your brain. And so modernity in design has a lot to do with intelligence. And the question is, how can we transfer these poles into design? And of course, something emotional, something rich, something opulent has to be essential. It has to touch your human body. And I used to say, it really has to be sexy. How can I put the audio up again? Okay. So that's a little trailer actually from our aesthetic X. It was a sculpture on the wall, and we had an audiovisual projection on it. We showed it on Paris Auto Show a couple of years ago, where we used it to position our new S-Class, and we projected all generations of current S-Classes on it, and that's a little shot out of it, and it shows you the flow, and it shows you the emotion around our shapes. And they're not only emotional, they're also intelligent, as they're very aerodynamic, so we created a flow that is simply beautiful. And on the other hand, purity is a language that stages modern design. It was ever since like that. It was born in the Bauhaus, it went over the School of Ulm, and now eventually it's even in Apple products. trailer showing that the purity in design is combined with very central elements, and we combine it in something what we call central purity, what we already have seen in the movie, in the trailer. And it combines what is at first glance opposite. We define it in a couple of design guidelines that define the style for Mercedes-Benz, and I would like to share that with you, starting with the first one. Usually it should be way louder because the car is so loud. So much fun to drive. So the GT is one of our most current cars, and honestly one of the most beautiful ones I ever designed. And it really embodies that sex appeal, that natural attraction, which is our first design guideline. Again, for me, car design has to be together with fillets in order to express modernity on one hand and the emotion on the other hand. So that was the headlight of our new S-Class coupe. Here we are. And as you have seen, it consists of jewelry. We put Swarovski crystals in there, and they have a function for indicator and day running light. And so it really brings jewelry to the car, but it also does something else. With these lights, we cut open the beautiful body, and we show actually what is in there. We show the high technology, and this is why we put so much effort these days into having real design, because it really stages high technology. And so for you guys, it's very important to learn that design makes technology visible. You know, without design, technology simply does not happen. So a very important part. Another example of the interior of our new GT sports car, standing for the next guideline, stimulating contrast. And contrast is very important in design because it keeps things alive. Again, we have the contrast of the emotion and the clarity, the modernity, the intellectual part. Here we have black and white contrast, like Chanel, for instance. We have contrast between black glossy, black panel surfaces and white matte leather. And we also have something else. We have a digital display there, but we have traditional buttons, traditional air vents, because with an increasing digital world, we believe there an increasing demand for analog solutions, for instance, like chrono watches. I just tested the Apple Watch, and I prefer chronos. That actually told me a student at Art Center I was talking to, he said exactly that. There will be an analog demand. We see a return of vinyl records. It's just 7 songs on a record and not 70,000 in your pocket. It is something more substantial, especially for a luxury brand. I think this is important. And with software, you know, you put an update and it's gone. So you really have to find the balance between the virtual and the real world. Yeah, really cool car, Mercedes GT6. We designed this concept car for the GT6 racing game. It was the first concept car in the movie. We built a prototype, put it on the LA Auto Show, and it really showcases our sense of purity philosophy as its best. It's really stunning, really up to now. And one of the reasons is, of course, the stunning proportions. Proportion is everything in design. You have to start with the proportion. When we design a car, when we design a platform and architecture for the next 10 years, we first make sure everything is in the right place, because that you cannot change afterwards. If you make a mistake there, you can only camouflage it with stuff, with lines and everything. We go the other way, we make it perfect at first, and that allows us to take stuff off, to take lines off. If you like it, take a line off. If you still like it, take another line off. And so purity, again, is really what we're aiming for, and to me that's really the highest thing in design. But again, proportions are very important also in detail. If you see this very super slim, tiny rear light, big body, 8 brutal exhaust pipes, very mechanical in this really soft shaped body. So this is really what makes it interesting. Yeah, that was our concept car F15 luxury in motion. This is a car we showed, was it this year? I believe, yes, it was this year. In Las Vegas, beginning of the year, on the CES Consumer Electronics Show. First concept car of an autonomous driving vehicle, and it has a really radical approach. We move the wheels to the corners in order to create a rolling lounge. The car is again driving autonomous, and that will change the car extremely. So we created that third place, not at home, not at work, in the car, and when the car is driving autonomous, you can of course take a lot of advantage of this time. You can turn the seats around, you're in the lounge with your friends, and you're in a complete virtual environment. The whole instrument panel is virtual with gesture operation and eye tracking. So you look at the, for instance, the heating control, it highlights up, and then you can operate it. Whole windshield, entire head-up display, side windows, complete displays. So you're really surrounded in a virtual world. And that was a very, very radical approach. And it's really about this unexpected moments you have to create a design in order to keep things interesting. But that was really a visionary car. It was really perceived like Mercedes has reinvented the car. And we showed actually the condition about, let's say, 2030 and beyond. So not the next generation of cars, the one maybe after that. But let's see. We have to wait a while for autonomous driving. I believe it's pretty complicated. Anyways, so these are the design rules and guidelines that define our central purity philosophy in order to stage that model actually for Mercedes and in order to create this iconic design that came from the galving, and we have to bring that into the future again with an emotional part and with a rational part. These two cars stand for the two poles, but of course each and every design embodies both of that, and this is what makes it interesting. Here again, the comparison, you also see it in the side. Typical Mercedes DNA. The cab is moved backwards on the rear wheel because that's a transmission wheel. So we want to have the weight there. The car has 52 to 48 brake balance, so it's very stable for racing. It has this huge hood. Very typical Mercedes, very short overhangs, and so the new GT has the entire DNA of the original 300 in order to make it a future icon. Three aspects about iconic design: fascination, timelessness, inspiration. Let me walk you through. Fascination. Every car and every piece and everybody is, of course, within this certain time. And of course, it was a great era of the silver arrows. We actually see that right now. We're not winning Formula 1 over and over again. But these days are different. The Formula 1 cars are very different to the street cars. But back then, it was really the street cars that were racing Formula 1. So, it's different times, and this is how it creates a myth with people driving it, with time around it. And so you really have to see it in the context of time. And actually Klaus once said that luxury is something that changes over time. It is very interesting. After the war in Europe, even a piece of butter when there was nothing was considered a luxury. And today, where you have everything, maybe a little bit less is more about luxury. Iconic surfacing, again, I talked a lot about the surfacing, about the definition of the sex appeal within the surfaces, in order to create this timelessness. And this is very true because after all, system design makes it really timeless, and this is why today is still the 300 is still up to date, it's modern, it's desirable, and yeah, even though when you look back in time, you know, it's always nice to look back and remember. It's a bit nostalgia about, yeah, I was young, life was easy, and so on and so on. Looking into the future is far more brave, it's far more different because you don't know what's coming. And if you want to achieve big things, of course you have to take your best guess and do what you believe is right in order to create future icons. This is simply what these guys did back these days. Again, proportions I talked about. These are perfect proportions, and they also make it so timeless. It's a typical Mercedes DNA, and nobody else has it in this way. Again, a long hood. In fact, there's a few examples, and I met a couple of people who said the GT has a lot of the Jaguar E-Type, and if you have this car in mind, it was the these sexy cars of the 60s, you know, round hood, very light rear. I believe it's true. The GT has something from this feeling, in a good way. And the inspiration, of course, when you create a legend, everybody will copy you, everybody will follow you, and something will change. For instance, I mean the smartphone, great invention, definitely. I remember it was 2005 when the first iPhone came out, and it changed the world. Now everybody's walking around like this, you know. Nobody's talking to each other anymore. Everybody's texting, right? Not even calling. Everybody's taking. Or some kind of phone. So icons really change the world and change the history. And let's see how it will go in the future. Of course, we still have the same grill radiator, and we even call it SL grill from the very first SL 300. And so that means that iconic things are long lasting. So after all, it's a high approach we are taking at Mercedes. We have a great history and have a great heritage, and of course this is a big responsibility. And again, you must look back and understand what was there and honor it, but you have to be brave enough to reinvent it, to reinvent yourself, and to be brave, and you have to, of course, enjoy what you're doing. It's very important also for you guys. You can only be good if you have fun. And so I hope some of you will also create some future icons, and maybe even for Mercedes, who knows? Thank you very much.
Thank you very much for so nice and impressive question. Now the floor is yours. So, ask questions. Това ви може би първи и последното, което ще може да питате директно в очите главния дизайнер на Мерцедес, каквото искате. Каквото искате. Айде.
How does it feel for you to be able and to make as a designer some of the best looking cars in the world, but still not the best looking people in Stuttgart?
I have to come closer. So what was that?
How does it feel for you and for Mercedes to be able to make some of the best looking cars in the world, but still it's still not the best looking in Stuttgart?
Very provocative question.
Best looking in Stuttgart? What?
Best looking cars in Stuttgart, you know?
One more time. Please, one more.
I don't understand. You mean Stuttgart is not exciting enough to create the most beautiful cars, or what are you
I
saying?
know that Mercedes are not the best looking cars designed in Stuttgart.
You prefer Porsche?
Yeah.
No. If you put a 911, which I really think is a beautiful car, if you put it next to the new GT, the new GT is a progressive modern car. It's so much better than the 911. The 911 looks compared to that like a VW Beetle. You know, it has big round eyes, funny eyes. You know. You should see the two cars together in the flash, and of course we put them next to each other. And I was driving a GT the last 6 months. I had the first prototype, I insisted on that. And again, I really like the 911, but what we created here is so much better, my friend, believe me.
SL Spines, good looking things, like you say here, it's bright for the eyes, because it's sexy. But Porsche is bright for the heart.
What can I say? Then you should buy one.
More questions?
That's walking.
doesn't have going doors, like in the 300 SL and the SLS.
We had the gallery, which was the SLS, and we decided to finish that chapter and do a completely new car. And we didn't want to give it the gull wings in order not to harm the car we did before. And also, the GT is almost half the price of the SLS. SLS was around 200,000 euro, this is around 100,000 euro, to beat Porsche. By the way, have you seen that we have a wonderful trailer? You should look it up on YouTube. It's a little commercial, and Porsche was actually not very amused about our trailer. And it's about the car of your childhood dream that has just been overtaken. So just Google GT, Mercedes GT AMG commercial on YouTube, and you should look at it, and it's so cool. Yeah?
Second question, can you tell us something, if you can, for the new E-Class?
For the new E-Class?
Release date, something?
Yeah, next year. So we will show the car next year. It is finished, almost finished. We work on the electronics. These days, I mean, the car will come with a completely new interaction software, big screen thing, you know.
Like in the S-Class?
Even better than the S-Class, much better, more touch-oriented and stuff. And this is very complicated in electronics, and this is actually the key point these days, to get a car ready for production. So the people work pretty hard right now to get this under control. I was driving the latest prototype last week, and it's really cool. It's, I would say, the most beautiful E-Class we ever made. It's really super sleek, like the CLS Generation 1, kind of that it's looking. So it has a very classical, very rich, very luxury appeal. And yeah, I think it's going to be a very successful and unique car.
Okay, thanks.
You're welcome. Okay. You don't need such a long table.
Yes. Earlier you were talking about building doors and the iconic shape. So my question was, how about Pagani? What is the relation of the German designer, Mercedes design, to the Italian design?
Well, there is no relation, I would say. I mean, Pagani was a person who did one car, you know, and of course, or two maybe, in different cars. And you can argue about the car or not, but it has nothing to do with Mercedes. But I have to say, I mean, it's this old cliche, you know, that Italian design is beautiful and German design is one-directional because Italian people are so emotional and German people are so
if you can compare it, because we saw the logic of your design, do you have an opinion of Italian design?
in general, or Pagani?
In general.
Oh, well, they did a lot of beautiful stuff, but I think, I mean, we worked a lot in Italy 15 years ago. Harry did a lot of work there with some suppliers, and you know, there's not much left from Turin these days. You know, there's Giugiaro is owned by VW, otherwise it would be gone. Pininfarina is gone, Bertone is gone. You know, so all this culture of definitely big Italian car design, I think, is lost. And they have done, of course, beautiful stuff in the past. I mean, if you look at the 1930s Alphas, you know, to me, the streamlined Art Deco design, one of the most beautiful you have ever seen, you know. And of course, there's a lot of post-war cars, Ferrari, Alphas, and so on. Definitely a decade. But I mean, if you see what's left from that is Fiat Chrysler Automobile, you know, Lancia as a Chrysler 300. No more models from Alfa. Lancia is dead as a brand. Fiat is simply the Cinquecento and nothing else anymore. So for whatever reason, Italians lost it, and I don't really know why. But definitely German brands. And so German car design is, since a long time, most successful in the world, you know, and has design is also how it works. You know, if something breaks, you don't like it anymore. You know, I have a crack in my iPhone, so I don't like it anymore. You know, yeah, and that was the problem with Italian cars. You know, they break down and then they what?
I drive an out.
Yeah, so you probably fix it more than you drive it, right? But you still love it, right? Yeah, it's like a beautiful woman, you know, even if she cannot cook or so, you still prefer that, right? Cooking is also not.
Okay, thank you very much.
First, I draw an alpha, and it's a myth that they break. My question was, which car inspired you to go in design? Which was the car on your poster when you were a child in your room?
My dad was always driving Mercedes. I thought that was impressive. I honestly never had a car poster in my room. I was drawing cars in school, you know, on the desk, you know, when I was bored. You know, I think it's always a special thing what your daddy drives, I think, and for me that was the case, you know.
All cars in Germany is Germans.
Yes, so rational. But you have seen we do both. We do the emotion and the intelligence. Yeah, I don't know.
Questions?
I have two questions. Firstly, my question is, what does it take, what are the criterion to become a designer? That's the first question. Then the second question is, from the country I come from, I can remember some 20 years ago, we drive, because I'm Nigerian, we drive Benz, Mercedes 230, and so on. But now I found out now no Mercedes, we prefer the Toyota and Hyundai. And so on. I want to know why. Maybe
You have to tell me.
No, I should say no.
I've never been there. I don't know. Maybe they're cheaper. Maybe they're cheaper. All the old plants broke down now.
You can tell me Toyota product are cheaper. You can't tell me that.
Check it out.
Then, if that answers the question, I want to know what are the criteria to become a designer.
Yeah, Jack can tell more about, of course. I mean, when people apply with us, we look, first of all, for personality. Okay. Because design is a lot about personality. We look for people who can bring their own personality to us in order to influence us. And so, of course, you have to be creative, you have to have good ideas, but you have to have your own style, you have to be yourself, basically. But then you have to be able to interpret Mercedes. So, actually like it when people, applicants, do a lot of sketches for Mercedes to see how they interpret it. And last but not least, your portfolio is your qualification. You don't look at university grades, you look at your artwork and see what you've done. Can you draw nicely? Can you express your ideas with a pencil? Or some people do it on a computer, fine, whatever. And yeah, this is basically what we're looking for.
Hello. My question is, how many years, months is taking to you to design one car to be ready to produce it?
Well, typically we start 5 years ahead of production, produce a car about 3 years prior to production, so about 2 years of design phase, but that varies. First we define platform and architecture. For instance, we have a real architecture, we have a proper architecture, we have a high architecture for Mercedes, and we have a sports strategy. 2020, and they will run up to 2035. So what we do today is actually shaping everything that will be on the street up to 35 from now. And so this is pretty much ahead of the market. And once we define this architecture, what I talked about, overhangs, position, proportions, big wheels, everything what we need, then of course once we have it, we can kick in shorter design processes for variants, which allow us to be a little closer to the market, because we want to be as close as possible to the market. As pace is changing, we want the baby to be born as late as possible, because once the baby is born, it gets older, right? So typically we have to guess, when we do a car, about 10 years into the future. If you see 5 years design cycle, and then the car runs 7 years about on the street in its life cycle, so we are looking for 10 years into the future. But when you enter our design facility, you fast forward your watch, we already work on the program again for the end of this decade, beginning of next decade, and with architecture beyond that.
One question, don't be shy.
What were your first thoughts when you entered our presentation room?
Nice crowd. I mean, I've been here before, and I was delighted to be here and seeing so many talented young people. And that kind of reminds me when I was studying. I started industrial design, and then I got a scholarship for the Royal College of Art in London, specializing on transportation design. And I didn't know what was coming. I basically started design because I liked it. Because I love to draw and I love cars, and I wanted to create something. And the car is the most beautiful piece to design. But I didn't know where it would end up. I simply did it and didn't thought about that. I didn't thought about making money or making a career or so. But you see now I'm standing here as head of Daimler design, so that's what I mean. You have to do what you love in order to be good, and then you will make a career,
Another question, can you sketch something like
Okay, fine. That's the next question. That will take a while. Let's see. I've never sketched with chalk. Let's see how that is. It's a big drawing, actually, If you draw smaller. Maybe. So you do the proportion first, and then you work it out with details like front lines, rear lines. You have to make sure that stays here, okay?
More questions? There is something missing.
What?
You see the rear mirror.
Huh?
The rear mirror.
Rear mirror? Okay. Quite critical, actually. Rear mirror. Inside here. And then you do typically a little shadow because the light comes from here.
I have a question. What's your favorite model?
Favorite model from the The GT, yeah, I love the GT. Again, it's definitely one of the most beautiful cars I've ever designed. Of course, I love sports cars. I drove it the last half year. It's a racing machine. It's amazing how powerful, how fast, how loud this car is. And it's a true love. You know, some cars you have to buy and put it in your garage and keep it forever. And this is one of them, yeah.
I don't believe you, I want to drive it.
You want to drive one? You have to talk to Mercedes. But if you join us and work for us, you know, then you might have the opportunity one day.
Can I get this driver for you?
What's your craziest design idea that wasn't approved by the majors of Mercedes?
They approve all my crazy ideas. Last question.
What was your first personal car? You or someone?
It was my mom's car. It was a Mercedes. Okay, thank you.
Cars, yes, bikes. Do you ride a bike?
No, I actually think this is too dangerous. I like to you know, you guys can turn around and you have to wear this big leather outfit, you know, not to drive a convertible, you know, just a t-shirt with my girlfriend, you know.
Okay, thank you. Hope to see you next year again.